Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time to sit down and chat with you guys, relax, get in my place of zen, and let's talk about some stuff. Now, I had a subscriber link for me a video that OmarIsuf did recently, and before a bunch of you guys jump in and say, Jason, nobody's asked you to cover anything, I'm going to link it here for you guys. And I do want to point out I appreciate this subscriber actually doing that and linking the video, because a lot of guys ask me stuff like, hey, what do you think about so-and-so? Or this video this channel did. And sometimes I've never even heard of the channel. Half the time I've never heard of the channel. YouTube Fitness has gotten so big that I can't keep up with all the channels anymore. I could probably only name like 10% of the channels that are out there. That's just the reality. It's grown. It's enormous. I can't keep up. I don't have time to keep up. Like, that would interfere with me making videos to try to keep up. And a lot of people will say, well, you know, it's kind of your job. You're a professional YouTube fitness personality. It's your job to keep up. No, man, it's my job to make content for you guys. I don't have time to keep up. I honestly can say the number of videos that I have watched that have not been linked directly to me in YouTube fitness that have been made in the last year, I could probably count on one hand. That's just the reality of it. So if you guys want me to cover a video linking it like this viewer did is the best way to do it, because if I've got to go look for it, odds are I'm not going to watch it. Because I could be making more videos, I could be out doing things I enjoy, I could be having fun, I could be relaxing, hell, I could take a nap rather than try to dig through YouTube channels. There's just too many to keep up with. So I appreciated that this person actually took the time to link it. So let's talk about it a little bit. Alright, so OmarIsuf, who I actually do enjoy, he is one of the few channels I think that actually makes good content out there. I don't watch that many. I think most of them are garbage these days. The market is oversaturated. So, Omar discusses his take on the fact that drug tested does not always mean drug free. In fact, I'm going to disagree with that. I think the word always is wrong. I'm going to say usually. Usually doesn't mean drug-free, particularly when it comes to being at this seriously competitive level. But, you know, that's another topic entirely, and Omar raises some good points, and this came up because of the whole Linn Bailey thing, which you guys know I covered just a couple hours after she announced it. I wanted to be quick on that one. That one came through my feed, and like 5 or 6 people sent it to me immediately, including some coaches. They just emailed it to me directly, coaches I know. So I got on that one quick. Now, he raises a valid point. Omar points out that, you know, drug testing only means that they're testing for the substances that they can test for at the time that they can test for them in the way that they can test for them. And if someone can pass the drug test, they're not considered to have broken the rules. It's not the drug use per se, it's the failing the test. And that's the truth of it. That's the reality of it, guys. It's that simple, because you know what? The majority of the top guys, even in the IPF or anything else that's drug tested, they're using stuff. That's a simple reality. And all the record breakers, I can promise you they're on stuff. I don't care how many times they've been drug tested. The drug tests are not that good. They're just not. And Omar is right in the sense of, you know, it's one of the issues they run into with the Olympics of retroactively banning stuff for tests that they don't know exist. Because anyone who wants to be the best, anyone who wants to win is going to do whatever it takes to win. And anyone who thinks that using drugs, even in a drug-tested division or a sport that only has a drug-tested division, that doesn't include that, that person doesn't understand the mindset of a champion. You've never met a champion. You don't know any champions if you honestly think that they don't all think that way, that all champions don't think in that manner, that I will do whatever it takes to win. I will work harder, I will work longer, I will find better coaches, I will train better, I will diet better, and I will out-drug and find out what I can pass drug tests with that my competition can't. If anyone thinks that all of those things aren't how a champion thinks, they have never met a champion in their life. You've never been around one. Most champions will do whatever it takes to win. In addition to having the genetics to win, they have the drive and the motivation that they can and they will do literally anything to win. Most champions would sacrifice their life to win, and surveys have shown that. Plenty of studies on humans, psychology studies, you can look this up, have shown that when top athletes are asked, would they sacrifice the rest of their life, meaning if they won a championship, they won number one, the best place in the world, a gold medal, or won the Super Bowl, again, were recognized as number one in their sport, would they be willing to die 2 years later if that was the cost to do so? Would they make that sacrifice? And the majority answer, yes. They're willing to trade the rest of their life and die young, much, much younger than most people, if that means winning and being number one. And people who don't understand that aren't champions. And that's what you have to understand. Champions have a different psychology than other people. That's what part of what makes them a champion. They will do anything to win. There's no limits. There are no limits up to and including dying. They'll sacrifice their life to win. So when you understand that mentality, it becomes very, very simple to understand why also anyone who's a champion will use drugs and find ways to beat drug testing if that is what it takes for them to win. If that will give them an advantage or even make them competitive, if everyone else is doing it, they're going to do it. There's no if and or but about it. They will. The IPF's drug testing, while stringent, is about as stringent as you're going to get in powerlifting, isn't foolproof. Tons of guys can slip through it. It's not like there aren't 6 or 7 drugs that you can't use and know with a high degree of certainty that you're going to come up clean if you do it right. That's reality. That's the real world. And what he noted and he thought was interesting was that the gap seems to be closing. In fact, some guys in the IPF and drug tested divisions have actually beaten the world record for the untested guys who can use unlimited amounts of whatever they want at this point. There are cases of that. Along with the fact that the gap is closing dramatically, meaning the drug-tested guys are closer and closer to the records now than they ever have been of the guys who can use unlimited amounts of whatever they want with no testing. And his interpretation is, well, maybe it's just because more guys and more genetics are coming into the sport. Yeah, but that's working in both directions. And genetic freaks do even better when they're allowed to use unlimited amounts of drugs. So, and if anything, that's the thing. Drugs have gotten better, and stronger, and even safer in some cases. Meaning, guys have just found ways to use drugs in a way that's safer through the use of doctors and modern drugs and everything else. So this idea that the gap wouldn't be going the other direction is strange, because you're getting more genetics and more interest in the untested powerlifting, and drugs have gotten better. The gap should be going the other direction. It's closing. So what does that tell you? That tells me that drug testing defeating methods and drugs that can slip through the testing have gotten better. They're getting to the point now to where what they can get away with, the doses and the types of drugs they can get away with and still beat the newer and more evolving testing, is getting more effective. That it is actually surpassing the drug testing methods because it is allowing the gap to close smaller and smaller and smaller. So what that should tell you is that there are more drugs and more cheating because the drugs themselves and the methods to beat the drug testing have become more developed and are surpassing the ability of the drug test to catch people, because people want to win. Because otherwise it would be going the other way. The improved and newer drugs and the higher doses that everyone is using would mean that the gap would be getting larger. But it's not. It's getting smaller. And what that essentially means, particularly in weight classes, when it's no longer just about sheer muscle mass, but in these weight classes, it means the drugs are getting more sophisticated. They're getting to the point of where they're finding strong enough drugs that they can be pound for pound just as strong as guys who can use anything that they want while still beating the drug test. And it means the people who help beat the drug test are getting smarter and smarter, and they're learning more. That's what that actually means to me. And so the reality is, anyone who has these weird ideas that the champions or even the top 5 in any weight class in the IPF, that there's any reasonable chance that they're drug-free, I think is very naive, and I think it's very ignorant, and it's people who aren't willing to accept and look at the facts. They aren't willing to come to terms with the real world, that drugs are a part of sports. All your world champions and everything else are on drugs. They know how to beat drug testing. A lot of experts have been telling people this for a long time, including Victor Conte. Even Lance Armstrong came clean about all of it and just told people the truth of that. People want to live in this little bubble that these are just people with amazing work ethics and just good genetics, and they aren't willing to accept the fact that they are superhumans in every sense of the word. These are genetic freaks who have been chemically enhanced. This isn't just about normal human ability anymore. This is about science and transhumanism. And people, I think, struggle because they've been told drugs are bad for so long, and they've been so demonized, PEDs have been, that people can't accept that the people, their champions that they look up to, are doing something bad. Well, let's just be honest here, guys. They're not doing something bad. They're doing what happens in every other sport and doing what every other champion in the world does. They're doing whatever it takes to win. And again, I'm glad that Dana Linn Bailey jumped up and decided to compete in this as someone who is widely accepted, widely understood to be a drug user, no matter what she claims as an IFBB pro, because it challenges this idea. And it's forcing people to come to terms with this idea. Because if she comes up clean and passes that drug test, reality is going to come home for a lot of people. And that's why a lot of people are upset. And I think Omar is right about the fact that it is naivety in people's minds that these federations or something like the IPF is actually clean. When again, Omar is basically telling you guys, and I agree with him here, that it's not. It's not clean. It's far from it. Very, very far from it. Nobody's winning clean. That's the real world. And if Dana Linn Bailey successfully challenges this, doesn't break any of the rules, passes the drug testing, then it is going to challenge that idea, that naivety, that delusion that people have that somehow their sport, their federation is the one that's clean and pure, and that their heroes are doing something wrong. And it's going to challenge that idea, and it is challenging that idea already. So I'm kind of glad that she did it, even though I don't necessarily like certain things that Dana Linn Bailey does. I don't like her promotion of supplements. I don't like her screaming that she's natty and all this other nonsense. I like the fact that she's doing this because it is going to force people to challenge their ideas and maybe get a hard dose of reality. And at the end of the day, people need to realize these things aren't evil. They're just people doing what it takes to win. That's what sports have always been about. And people have tried to change that idea, talking about fair play in sports. You will never take the mindset of a champion out of a champion, no matter what sort of rules you try to make. A champion is going to do whatever the fuck it takes to win. They will be the best. That is the mindset of a champion. They will not accept any other possibility. No limits. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.